All right. Let's get to Walter Masterson talking to MAGA people at Trump's arrest in Fulton County Jail.
There's a reason that the Chinese are setting up police stations all over our country. I mean, who's behind?
Wait a second, I haven't heard. No, that one I haven't heard. Tell me everything about that one.
I have heard. Are you familiar with the Epoch Times?
Epoch Times, yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
I have read that in there, that the Chinese are opening up police stations throughout our country. You have not heard about that?
Hey, Forgiato.
What's up, my dog? Again, you?
Again.
You gonna try to Riz me again? What's up? It's the Riz King. I love left media.
Tell me why Trump is innocent.
You gonna change my words? What we gonna do? Trump's innocent, man. The reason why they pushing Trump so hard is because if Trump doesn't go to jail, they go to...
Dude, you know, first of all, is he on Ozempic? What's going on? 4G self-suck? 5G self-suck is like looking a little skinny here. Maybe it's the black shirt that he's wearing. Slimmer than usual. He's 3G auto blow now.
The jail. They don't want him in this race. They want him off this ballot. He's the president of the United States or a former president of the United States. He doesn't need to get a mugshot. He doesn't need to be handcuffed. All these indictments are backfiring. They're not going to help him because you don't like Donald Trump. I like Donald Trump. But at the end of the day, there's people who play 50-50 don't really know, and this here is making them say this is taking it way too far. Even you, my man, like you had to have more money when Trump was in. The economy's much better now, right? With Donald Trump.
The economy's better?
With Donald Trump. Then now, Donald Trump has helped so many people become who they are. Like you got to go undercover as someone who likes Donald Trump to get views.
Not all of us can get an inheritance from our dad.
I know, from daddy, for Auto Trader, right?
Yeah,
which I love anybody to show me where I got any money from anybody in my family. Never received an inheritance. I don't know what inheritance I could have got. But you know what? I got 6 Rolls Royces on my own, supporting Donald.
That's so awesome. I mean, he's directly being like, I'm a grifter. I made a lot of money supporting Donald Trump. So, of course, I'm supporting Donald Trump. That's so funny. And he's like, Walter, didn't you also make a lot of money technically, like because of Donald Trump, because a lot of people are paying attention to you? It's funny.
Trump, I got brand new cars, Tahoes, Trump trucks, billboards, money, because you know what? I get up every day and chase my dreams in this world that Donald Trump let us do that and fight for freedom.
The thing that people joke about is your whole born to ride Donald Trump.
Born to ride 45, that's the gang.
Yeah.
That's the gang. We out here putting on for Trump.
Do you like...
Putting on for Trump. Them people out here putting on for Trump.
That's funny, though. It's funny.
I don't think it's funny.
It's funny. It's so funny, dude.
I don't think it's funny.
Born to ride Donald Trump.
I don't think that's funny. You're trying to Riz me. This man got some Riz challenge.
I know, but it's funny.
This is the Riz challenge.
It's come on.
Let's go to the next one.
Listen.
Next one, next.
Damn, he's getting like kind of mad. Like, no, it's not. What's funny about it? I love riding Donald Trump.
I disagreed that
I don't think he can't be that stupid, right? Does he not realize it?
If you were doing comedy, I'd be like, yo, I'm going to bow to you as the king of comedy because that's
it's
the
born to
thing.
ride for 45, not born to ride 45.
Because the way it says.
Born to ride 45. Make sure you get these white supremacists.
You're Vietnamese, right? I've been to probably 20 to 30 rallies. I've seen you at everything.
Every single rally in the world.
I don't think I've been to a rally where I haven't seen you.
America, the greatest show on earth. Stop right up. We got peanuts for all. We got peanuts. The greatest circus in the world. The world looks at America as a circus. Well, I bring the circus to America.
What work are you in?
I'm not a network. I'm a private citizen.
Oh wait.
And we just applied for the arrest of Fannie Willis in Magistrate.
Oh wait,
Court.
can you hold that up to the camera?
We're outside of the Fulton County Courthouse right now.
This guy's back. I love this guy.
I just came from the Magistrate Court of Fulton County, where we applied for the arrest of Fannie Willis. The indictment has 4 charges. There's 2 under the state law and 2 under the federal law. The 2 under the state law relate to the conduct of public officials, and they are violation of oath of office and unprofessional conduct by public officers and employees.
Yeah.
And the 2 charges.
He's Peter Griffin. He's a Peter Griffin impersonator.
Under the U.S. Code are conspiracy against rights and deprivation of rights under color of law. This is a direct attack on Trump's ability to win the election in 2024, and so those are violations against her oath of office. I actually have been a candidate for office, State House, up in Rome, Georgia, which is known to most of America as Marjorie Taylor Greenville. So she lives about 4 miles.
Have you met her?
So. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
You see her all the time.
Yeah, pretty regularly actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's she like?
I think Marjorie is a lot more intelligent than anyone gives her credit for. It's the same with Trump. They say, Trump is dumb. And Marjorie in particular is really great at just walking into a situation or room and immediately figuring out what the fix is. Like what.
I love him doing the Trump hand gestures, but like in a very Southern Belle type beat. You know what I mean? He put his own seasoning on it. He put his own spice on it. Love this guy.
What's going on.
Yeah.
And really sharp at that, in fact.
Yeah, a lot of that's interesting.
Where are they? Where is Build Back Better? 666. That's a sign of the devil, President Obama. Get your hands off of me. Get your hands off my brothers and sisters. They are devil worshippers, right, Rihanna? Are we a devil worshiper at the Super Bowl Sunday halftime show with The Weeknd? I am homeless in heels working for President Trump on my dime and my time across this country since 2000.
No shot these people have jobs, right? No, they do. But it's not like a job that demands, it's not like a labor job. You know what I mean? They're not getting wages. In a lot of instances, they are landlords or, they're wives of landlords. You know what I mean? They have capital. So they have like a lot of time on their hands. They own businesses or they're like fucking real estate agents and shit like that. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean that there aren't like poor people that are in the Trump constituency. Of course there are. But a lot of these are passive income jobs that keep them afloat somehow. With like husbands on disability, even though they literally fucking personally are constantly complaining about welfare. Like, you would be shocked. It actually doesn't even, I don't know, they just don't give a fuck. Like, it's very weird. So many of the people, especially in the South, that shit on disability and entitlements and all this shit, they unironically use it and like sometimes don't even recognize that they are benefiting from it, and in other times, they do recognize it, but they're like, "But we deserve it." Other people are faking it. You know what I mean?
2015, no justice, no peace. No justice, no peace.
Yeah.
You
What the
liberals
fuck?
that are out there, they have my balls in a vice. President Obama is married to a man. Mike Obama's private parts are bigger than a family-sized can of right guard. Why do you think they killed my sister, Joan Rivers? Why did Don Johnson try to kill me? That's me. I used to be a nice girl, went to finish
Are you
in
doing
school.
great?
I mean, she's just schizophrenic, I think, right? But like at this stage, I don't know if this person is just like schizo or on a cocktail of medication, and also just a Trump supporter. Maybe a bit of both. I don't know what's happening there.
Comedian?
No, I'm not. I'm a domestic violence survivor. I'm a
You're not a
whistleblower.
comedian?
I'm here to support Trump.
So we're here to support our president.
I have supported our president since he came down that escalator with his beautiful wife. Get over here, girl. You get over here. Abby, this is my sister in Christ, Abby. President Donald John Trump is going in cuffs today to expose the judicial system.
He ain't going to cuffs. Why are you so stupid?
You think liberals are in a cult?
Liberals are in a cult.
Yes, we are here because Trump is guilty. Lock him up and throw away the key.
Trump indicted.
Again and again and again.
And again and again and again.
Get that shit. I made it. You made that? I made it, yeah.
Explain why you think Donald Trump is guilty.
We saw him on national television telling that guy from Georgia, the Secretary of State from Georgia, all I need is 11,780 votes.
I love her. Like, obviously, look, it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird to be like this invested. It's a bit weird to be this invested in the in the thing where you're like dressing up and going and like partying and celebrating. But like even then, it's just like it's awesome. Allowed. You're just having fun with it.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta pee real quick.
Lock him up. Sure, what
They were just talking.
I love that
So
she
it's
said
it's
the
illegal
exact
to
number
just
of
talk
votes,
about
too,
finding
from the phone call.
780 votes. I feel like that's like freedom of speech. It's like a First Amendment.
It's a first, no, not
Yeah.
no, not when you want to overthrow the government and steal the votes of black and brown people. Because that's
Yeah.
what he wanted to do.
What are you talking about? People have been doing that for years.
Yeah, but he was doing it bold faced though. They've been doing it on the DL, at least trying to do it on the DL. But he doesn't care. Detroit, anywhere there are black people, that's where the way he think that voter fraud is taking place. He didn't question when the votes in the areas where he won, which is like white people who voted for him, he didn't question those. He questioned where there are a lot of black and brown people. With the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, we have changed it from conquest, war, famine, and death. We have changed it to white supremacy, patriarchy, capitalism, and complacency. Because complacency is what is going to cause the death.
Complacency.
Yeah, the death of
Otherwise known
democracy.
as neoliberalism.
I don't know what it's known as. I just know that people not participating, and when we don't participate, people like Trump and Eastman, and they're trying to steal our democracy is what we get.
Yeah, I mean, so you're just as concerned as most Americans about the militarization and the weaponization of law enforcement.
Definitely. I think that's the number one issue. I saw recently something that said that the FBI
Insane, dude. The level of mental illness you're on is whew.
had shot 4.
You missed it. She's based with 0 reading. What?
Just know that people not participating, and when we don't participate, people like Trump and Eastman, and they're trying to steal our democracy is what we get. The fraud is taking place. He didn't question when the votes in the areas where he won, which is like white people who voted for him, he didn't question those. He questioned where there are a lot of black and brown people. With the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, we have changed it from...
Guys, you're so fucking annoying, man. I hate the rewind shit. I actually do hate the rewind shit. Like, rewind chatters are so fucking annoying. It's just like, it's frustrating.
When they overthrow the government...
Well, people have been doing that for years.
At least trying to do it on the DL, but he doesn't care. Detroit, anywhere there are black people, that's where the way he think that voter fraud is taking place. He didn't question when the votes in the areas where he won, which is like white people who voted for him, he didn't question those. He questioned where there are a lot of black and brown people. With the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, we have changed it from conquest, war, famine, and death. We have changed it to white supremacy, patriarchy, capitalism, and complacency. Because complacency is what is going to cause the death.
Complacency.
Yeah, the death of
Otherwise known
democracy.
as neoliberalism.
I don't know what it's known as. I just know that people not participating, and when we don't participate, people like Trump and Eastman, and they're trying to steal our democracy is what we get.
Are you happy, chat? That was good. I mean, she had a great take, but also, we did it. Should we rewind it again? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, so you're just as concerned as most Americans about the militarization and the weaponization of law enforcement.
recently something that said that the FBI had shot 4 people dead possibly in their own homes in the last month or so. It was one gentleman, he had said some negative things about Biden on the internet. They came to his house and they shot him dead.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of want to see the whole video.
Well, I don't think there is a video.
The cops, they were probably fearing for their lives.
They came to his house early in the morning, but he doesn't know what's going on. They bust into his house with automatic weapons. What's he gonna do? Well, he's just gonna go reach for his gun. He doesn't know who's coming into his home.
You can imagine the police just showing up to your house and executing you, no knock warrant.
It should never be like that.
What do you think about Cop City?
Well, Cop City is a training ground for the police officers here, right?
Okay.
So what's the controversy with there? I don't understand.
He will never, dude, these guys will never connect the dots. It's just like physically impossible. Physically impossible for these dudes to literally connect the dots in a situation like this. It's just like, yeah, law enforcement has completely gotten out of hand. They're so violent. They're thugs. They're jackbooted thugs. And then you go, okay, well, what about Cop City? And it's like, I don't understand. That's just training. That's really good. It's good that they're training, right? Which, by the way, ironically, is no different than like liberals too. Liberals also do that shit where they're like BLM, BLM, BLM. And then they're like, but Cop City's good because like they're training. You want them to train, right? You want them to train. It's like, Brother, they've been getting funding for training for years. We need accountability, okay?
Seems like a militarization. It's 100 acres. It can simulate urban warfare. It just seems like a militarization to me.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. I think our police need to be prepared, especially after the riots and the looting, the burning, everything, all these kind of things that we've had over the last few years. They need to be prepared for all kinds of situations. It's totally different, yeah.
Totally different than the militarization.
That's different than attacking people.
A lot of talk about the weaponization of law enforcement. DOJ, the FBI, IRS, CIA. What do you think should be done about the weaponization of law enforcement?
Well, the only thing that really can be done is to clear them out, clear everyone out, especially at the top. I don't think it's the rank and file that are that corrupt. I think it's the ones in leadership. And I think that the corruption is so deep and so entrenched in these organizations that they really have to be totally destroyed. And of course, we know Kennedy said that he was going to do that with the CIA.
Before he died.
And we saw what happened with him. They put a bullet in his head. Dangerous venture to go against these people. They're going to destroy you, and we see what they're doing to Trump.
Almost like an abolishing. You have to destroy and rebuild these institutions because their foundation is just too rotten.
Exactly.
I sound like a liberal when I talk like this. When I talk about this, you know, like, because they talk about abolishing these institutions and well, because it's like they're basically saying you can't reform these institutions. They're just so corrupt. You need to destroy and rebuild.
I think that we're far past conservative and liberal. I mean, those are the labels they want to put on us to divide us. But the truth is, we're far past that at this point. We're far past Republican and Democrat, conservative, liberal. We're way past that. We're down to evil versus good at this point.
Yeah, totally. Like, they definitely didn't think that when they were voting for George W. Bush. Like, people are so fucking stupid about this, where it's like, oh, it's just evil versus good. It's like, no, you said that about every election, and Democrats say that too. There's like no other way of framing this conversation beyond like good and evil. Like, Republicans are evil, Democrats are good, we got to vote for the Democrats. Republicans do the other thing on the other side where it's like Democrats are evil and Republicans are good and we need to fucking defeat the evil. Why? Because politics is supposed to be about a distribution of power and resources. But in the United States of America, all of that is under a vice grip of those who own both parties, okay? And the people on the ground are just having these fucking petty squabbles left and right. Like, it's wild that this conversation basically turns into like, oh, well, the other side's they want to do evil. That's why I want to win. It's like, how about issues, man? How about some issues? Like, how about I want to vote for the Republicans because, like, I don't know, I love deregulation. I love toxic pollutants in my water supply. That's why I want to vote Republican. How about, oh, I want to vote for the Democratic Party because I love healthcare. I think the Democratic Party, I'm an idiot, and I think the Democratic Party actually is genuine when they say we want universal healthcare coverage. You know what I mean? Everyone is an annoying little fucking centrist at the end of the day when they're all fucking neoliberal centrists. Their mannerisms, their attitudes, their interests, and they're just like deviate slightly on certain issues where they're like, oh, I'm going to vote for the Republican Party because like they're actually more violent towards undocumented immigrants, and it's like it's not really the case. I mean, the Brandon administration is not exactly great on its treatment of immigrants that are coming over the border. You know what I mean? They're not great either. Don't worry. If you were looking at it honestly, you would recognize that both Democrats and Republicans are kind of doing the same shit with marginal deviations. But obviously, those marginal differences lead to dramatically different outcomes for people on the ground. And what I mean by that is the Republicans are running on culture war issues, and ultimately, those culture war issues do end up harming people, clearly. And the Democrats don't do enough to defend those people. I mean, marginalized people, but marginalized people are voiceless. They rarely ever vote because why the fuck should they? Because their interests are not represented. Anyway.
You actually have a good point about this. Should we, as conservatives, start marching with these progressives that are, marching and protesting against the police? Like Cop City, great example. Is that like a weaponization of law enforcement? Cop City.
I'm not familiar with Cop City.
In Atlanta, they're building a military
Yes.
facility. It's like 100 acres,
Yes.
millions of taxpayer dollars, and it's like it's militarizing
I see.
the police force of Atlanta.
But I think the better question to ask is who's behind that? The taxpayers may be funding it, but who's behind that? There's someone pushing these things. There's a reason that the Chinese are setting up police stations all over our country. I mean, who's behind
Wait a
this?
second, I haven't heard. No, that one I haven't heard. Tell me everything about that one.
I have heard. Are you familiar with the Epoch Times?
Epoch Times, yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I have read that in there that the Chinese are opening up police stations throughout our country. You have not.
I love that. They're against federal law enforcement, and they hate it because, the federales, the agents are coming after their big, beautiful boy, Donald Trump. Meanwhile, she's literally repeating propaganda from a CIA-backed cult in China that has been able to captivate and mind melt so many fucking boomer brains with their propaganda that is totally allowed to be spread in the United States of America. That is what is awesome about this situation. Literally heard about this place 2 seconds ago, and she's already formed a conspiracy theory about it. Jesus. Wait, Matt Taibbi's employers? Get the fuck out of here. Matt Taibbi's employed by Epoch Times? No shot. Oh, God, that's so sad, dude. I can't believe I used to be such a fucking fan of his. It's crazy. Please don't tell me that.
Heard about that?
I didn't know that the Chinese Communist Party was setting up police stations throughout the United States.
Yes, and they're also funding our colleges and universities.
Okay.
You do know about that, right?
Well, the Penn State thing for sure.
Oh, but it's even farther than that. I mean, they are everywhere in this country. But see, this is
So you're
what
saying if you look further into Cop City, you'll find that this is a CCP
maybe
plot. Yeah, but I'm saying you're not saying an absolute. You're saying it's if they're
That's
setting
a
up.
question to ask.
Yeah.
Who is behind this? What is the impetus
Cop
behind
City
it?
was just training, and then it was all of these other things, people that were trying to tear it down, all the homeless people that were living in there. Are we talking about the same thing?
Yeah.
I don't mind our police being trained well, though. I don't have a problem with that.
Again, you do always have to follow the money. I always do that. You always have to ask who is behind this. What's the impetus behind this? I just think that's a wise question to ask.
A lot of us obviously are upset about the weaponization of law enforcement.
Sure. And in fact, I'm actually a defendant in another weaponization of law enforcement case in Georgia, which is the Rome 4 case up in Rome, which involves the police of Rome suppressing and arresting protesters at the Trans Queer Pride for Kids event. This case is particularly important and close to me as someone who has been a victim of the politicization of law enforcement.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures
100-acre training facility.
Right.
And it just seems to me like militarization
the militarization of law enforcement, I think, is a valid concern, and it's actually something that you actually hear from both more the libertarian right as well as people on the left.
That's actually true.
So it's something that actually people can come together on. There's actually a lot if people would not be drawn into the bitterness of partisanship that actually people could agree on.
What do you think about the weaponization of law enforcement?
It's disgusting, deplorable.
What do you think is the solution to this weaponization of the DOJ,
It's gotta
IRS?
be cleaned out. It's got to be. We need leaders that care enough and are strong enough to clean up the mess that it's become.
What about Cop City?
I don't know much about Cop City.
100 acres.
Oh, where all the Antifas were assaulting the cops? I did see that. That's right.
Yeah. Is that in line with militarization and weaponization of law enforcement?
The protest to it or Cop City itself?
The protest to it is the militarization of law enforcement, really? Like the Antifas are militarizing? Is that what he's trying to say? Exclusive, Matt Taibbi, how hidden actors distort reality, manipulate the public, and enforce consensus? What the fuck? There ain't no way, brother. This can't be real, right? Dude, I don't want to fucking what is happening, man? I go on his fucking website and it's literally like, what do they put a fucking keylogger on my computer at this point? It's like, Jesus Christ. Absolutely fucking impossible to just like look at one article. Holy shit. I'm not gonna continue with Google, obviously. Mountain Dew shill. Man, the day Mountain Dew gives me money to fucking shill their product is the day that I'm a happy man, okay? Whew, I would love that. God damn. Why'd you flash the can of pop? What do you mean? Did that look like I was doing marketing? Like, are you guys new here? I drink Mountain Dew every fucking day.
Cop City itself.
I think they need a training ground to train the cops. It's my understanding of why they're building that facility. So.
Did you know that recently there has been Fulton County Jail is being sued? They let a mentally challenged man die, and he died from bed bugs, and his cell was completely filthy.
I just wish they would like expand on this like anti-carceral state attitude that they fucking have only when their guy, their big beautiful guy, is in the crosshairs of the criminal of the justice system.
Fecal matter, broken glass, in this jail right here. So that's why they wanted to do it here at this jail. They would love to see Donald Trump in this nasty, and it's famous all over America for being a very vicious jail to be in, a nasty jail.
One of the people in the Republican debates, Vivek Ramaswamy, he's talking about how we should raise the voting age to 24 and demand that voters pass a civics test.
Yes, I would agree with that.
So you think in 24 is an appropriate age to start voting?
I would think so.
I think 18 is fine. I do like the civics test. I don't know if I would necessarily make it a requirement.
There's elected officials that have never taken a civics class.
Hard to believe.
There's members of the United States Senate. They've never taken a class in civics. Congress. United States Congress.
Interesting idea. I don't think it'll ever pass, but it's an interesting idea. I mean, I support Vivek. I met him. Great guy, personally. Came over, shook his hand, talked with him for 10 minutes. Great guy.
I'm good with the civics.
Joseph Steelen.
If you can go to war at 18, you should be able to vote at 18.
I agree, but I do think a civics test might be a good idea.
I think everybody should have to take a civics test. And especially immigrants coming here should have to take a couple of classes for sure.
You guys heard of Vivek Ramaswamy?
Oh, yeah. Well, he worships a Hindu god, and at the top of this nation.
Dude, I fucking told you. I fucking told you. I told you that at the top of the hour there's a 3-minute ad break, and none of you listened. I told you that if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, and none of you heard me out.
Just like Obama was a closet homosexual.
Yo!
A Hindu god worship.
First of all, he was not a closeted homosexual. He was actually an open bisexual, as evidenced by the truth, and also by Tucker Carlson's interview with the homosexual man that he engaged in sexual misconduct with, which we will be watching later today, by the way.
Worship of running our nation, bottom line. He's a Hindu.
Okay. So I thought we liked Vivek.
I don't.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, he don't like Israel. He just went to Wikipedia, and there may be criminal charges against him. He paid to have things removed the day before he announced his presidency. One of the main things he had removed was his Hindu faith. But number two, that he was best friends with the creator of the mRNA vaccine and called that man his mentor. All that's now gone.
Because he made his money in pharma, in big pharma.
True, mRNA. Why would you go scrub that from your Wikipedia? He is our Obama. Slick, smooth, the best talker up there. But once it's all over with, you'll see that he's not a true conservative. There's a lot about him that
he's cooking him.
There's only one man in this race.
I think a civics test sounds like a great idea.
Yes, civics test would be a great idea.
I may roll it all the way back and say you have to own property to vote.
Yes, just like the founding fathers.
No, that's a great idea.
Oh my God, just the founding fathers. It was like property owners. It was, yeah.
Really, don't take our freedoms for granted. Freedom's not free.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
You like him. You've met him.
At first, I was against it. I was like, I think this is a horrible idea. Until I sat back and I thought about it a lot.
I told you that every fucking Groyper dork loves Vivek because he hits the Groyper dork lines pretty hard. in the same way that they loved Ron DeSantis because they thought like he's going to be instituting fascist policies like he's doing in fucking Florida, not realizing that in order to get to that position of power, at least in the national election, you have to have a little bit of charisma. But when you look like this and you talk like this, you dress like this, you act like this, you don't necessarily have a good barometer for what kind of rhetoric and what kind of politician is going to be received well by the broader demographic of voters. Oh.
I believe that it's a good move. I think that while it may make it harder for some to vote, you have to take a test to drive
It's
a car.
24. You're 19. You won't get to vote.
I'll take the test and then I can vote.
So the people that can't pass the civics test have to wait till they're 24.
Yes. It's the same concept with a license. You have to pass a test, an exam, and if you fail it, you don't get to drive. And I feel like a vote is influential as driving a car. You can kill somebody in a car. If you have a leader up there in office who doesn't know what they're doing, a lot of people have died from fentanyl and everything like that.
You know, the founding fathers actually had a very restrictive right to vote, and they in their writing repeatedly said that that's necessary to preserve a republican form of government. And so we've had an experiment over the last 50 to 100 years of maximizing voter turnout, you know, and as that made the government better or worse.
Back then it was just wealth. It was landowners, and they would pick
It's like, and I love that.
the president. Yeah.
Right. Well, actually, I mean, originally the states picked the president. There was no popular vote for president. And so the original design of the founders was to have the states have their ambassadors in Washington, aka the senators, and the states to pick the president, so that the president was not chasing after the votes directly of people and then promising programs, gifts, etc. We apparently thought we knew better than the founding fathers, and I'm not sure that we did.
He wants to.
Dude, that's crazy. That's awesome. Like, we should make this process even less democratic. That's sick. I mean, obviously, if you're... First of all, wait, hold up. You're in Georgia. Do you really want the Georgian senators to pick... Hold up. Want your senators to pick the president, dog? Like, I know... Listen, I know that Republicans love when land votes instead of the people on top of that land. But, like, kind of weird for him to be like, yeah, the senators should have a say in who gets to be the president, not me. And it's like, bro, look at your senators right now. I forgot for a brief moment. I was captivated by the beauty of Peter Griffin, fake lawyer Peter Griffin, for a second, and forgot that they're in you know, Georgia.
Institute a civics test to vote.
I'm not sure about that.
You're not sure? Yeah.
He's like, I'd fail.
Now, I've seen they wanted to bring the age down to 16 because they're hoping some of the propaganda they have in school now will help them get some more votes. I heard there was talk of dropping the voting age. That's the first I heard of someone wanting to raise it.
This is crap. You trying to get my words to change. They ain't going to change, my brother.
So you'll still vote for him even if he's convicted?
I'll write his name in. Only thing they can get Trump is sedition charge. Trump gets sedition charge and we can't write his name in.
And all of you
You'll still vote.
liberals,
You're going to still vote for him even if he's
we are.
convicted?
We will. I will vote for him. I'm wanted. I am. Vote for him. Abby, I'm wanted in 4 states.
If he is convicted, thrown in jail, you'll still vote for him, right?
Okay, maybe she's not just anti-law enforcement due to Trump. Maybe she's anti-law enforcement due to her own personal criminal charges. I don't know.
I will. Yeah, even more so.
If Trump is convicted and put in jail, you're still going to vote for him.
Well, first of all, he's not convicted until the Supreme Court convicts him. In America, that's not a conviction. We have an appeals process, which will take years. So by the time that happens, he'll be back.
Wait, what? Wait. That's so nutty. I love that. God, libertarians are fucking sick, dude. No one that actually is convicted and goes to jail is actually there in a justifiable manner until they appeal the process, and that process goes all the way up to the fucking Supreme Court. That's so sick. Yeah. My DUIs ain't real until the Supreme Court convicts me, brother. He's like, listen, I got domestic abuse charges a couple years back and I went to prison for it. It was fucking bullshit. They should expunge it. Guess why? because the Supreme Court did not convict me. The civics test thing is starting to look enticing. I mean, it's very bad. I think that's a very bad idea.
Back in office and handle everything.
No matter what the situation is,
Well, Jesus was convicted as well. Innocent man.
Yeah.
So just a conviction means nothing to us at all.
You'll still vote for him no matter
Oh, we know that.
Of course.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah, of course the people that are at the protests are going to do that regardless. And I do think that a lot of Republicans will do that anyway. But I don't know if people would rather have like a safe carcass or potentially a constitutional crisis. You know what I mean? Especially when like it's kind of both parties are the evil that you know. It's not like there's anything new. A safe carcass, Joe Biden. I'm talking about the two options. If the election is held tomorrow, Trump is the candidate and Joe Brandon is the candidate. The only thing that will change Joe Brandon being the candidate is if he fucking dies, right? Yeah, you have the safe carcass going up against a possible, not just like a liability or anything, but a poll came out this past weekend saying up to 27% of Republicans wouldn't vote for Trump if he was convicted. That's kind of wild. That how low that number is when you think about it with like the lens of sanity. You're like, only 27% of Republicans wouldn't vote for Trump if he is convicted. Like, think about that. Now that number is actually higher because that number is actually higher than Trump's approval rating. Republicans and their approval of Donald Trump has oftentimes, throughout his entire candidacy, actually stayed pretty stable, rarely ever getting under 90%. The fact that it goes down to 73% is kind of wild. However, it's still wild to me if I for a brief moment take a deep breath and think of America as like a normal and sane nation rather than a nation of psychopaths. 27% of Republicans saying like, yeah, I won't fucking vote for Donald Trump if he's convicted is incredibly low.
Accuse Trump of everything. Insurrection, sending fake electors to Michigan, Arizona, 5 other states.
The Constitution demands it.
Mishandling documents, stealing secret documents.
You mean he had it in his
the
garage?
Georgia's RICO law. They went after
Right.
Trump University.
Oh yeah, they all loved him until they found out he loved America. They don't love America, they love their power. They love their system, their structure.
I've heard this meme so many times. This guy's just like a meme machine. He's like talking to a robot that just like spits out iFunny memes that you see circulating on Facebook. You know, they're not going after him. They're going after me, but he's standing in the way. Like, that's what he's about to say. You know what I mean? Like, everything he's saying right now, I've heard from old ladies named Bertha posting on Facebook iFunny memes that have been like repopulated 1,000 times over, and they're fucking grainy at this point.
Their swamp. Nixon was a good boy because Nixon went home and shut up. If Donald Trump would have been a good boy, he wouldn't be here today.
It's just the same thing that they did to Richard Nixon.
Yep.
Famous for being...
Okay, technically that's not false. I take it back because, yes, Donald Trump did not shut up, as in he lost and he kept talking, and then he did mouth crimes where he talked his way into conspiracies, not a conspiracy theory, mind you, a conspiracy to commit fraud. So that's why it's not wrong technically, because he didn't shut up. He kept openly doing crimes over and over again.
Innocent.
But Nixon, I watched CNN the other night when they admitted that the only reason Nixon did not get prosecuted after the fact is because
he wasn't running.
He went home. He shut up, no influence. Donald Trump loved America too much to shut up.
You're still going to vote for him, even if he is convicted.
If he is the Republican nominee, yes, sir, I will definitely vote for him.
Now, I won't vote for him even if he is convicted.
will.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I will do a write-in.
You're still going to vote for Trump even if he is convicted.
Absolutely. It actually makes me want to vote harder.
They may continue to throw more indictments at him. Go for it. Trump is an innocent man, and he will win again.
Yeah, and you'll still vote for him even if he's convicted.
If he's on the ballot, I'm voting for him.
You're still going to vote for Trump even if he's convicted.
Yeah, I think he'll still get a lot of votes if he's in jail anyway. Secret Service will have to come and take him out of jail and go bring him to the White House.
America is a ship. It only rides in the water when it's balanced, just like any ship.
It's embarrassing for the grandchildren of these idiots. I mean, listen, dude, it is what it is. You know what I mean? You're not always going to agree with your fucking parents, whatever. There's not really much you can do about it. I back in the day, I used to tell people in my community to like put fucking parental passwords if you have access to your TV to like stop your parents from watching Fox News. You know what I mean? But now they have Facebook. You know what I mean? You can't stop your parents from getting brain broken.
Obama, America was in the middle. We all gravitated toward that center where the ship rode well. When Obama came and put gays in the military and transgenders in the bathroom, the ship goes like this, right? The only way to ride it, we had to find Donald Trump to bring it back over.
You're talking about indoctrination.
Sure.
There's a lot of indoctrination going on.
Obama put gays in the military? What the fuck does he think Don't Ask, Don't Tell was? It was an acknowledgement that gays were in the military, obviously. But, like, let's just not speak about it. I can't believe he said Obama invented homosexuality. Like, what level of delusion are we on? Has he not heard of the Navy? Yeah, also, the military's gay as fuck anyway, but whatever.
I've said President Trump needs to change the slogan to MEGA, not MAG. Make education great again.
By getting rid of the Department of Education.
Absolutely. Or critical race theory, all the books in these libraries that's destroying children's minds.
I hear reports of parents.
Yeah, we should burn the books. We should burn the books as hard as we possibly can.
Now, they don't want to bring their kids to church until they're like 13 or 16 because they're like, oh, well, then they're old enough to understand.
Indoctrinated before that.
So what's an appropriate age to bring your kid to church, in your opinion?
The moment they're born.
Okay.
I was born in the church, actually. My mother had me in the church.
Yeah.
So I believe a child, my Lord, why wouldn't you bring a child to start grounding them in the moral laws of the...
I love that. He said grounding because it sounds so close phonetically to grooming, which is what he actually does want. Like, why don't you start grooming them in the ways of the Lord, in the ways that the Lord intended? And if some of the choir boys get a feel, if I cop a feel on them, then there's also the Lord turns the other cheek, and by that I mean ass cheeks of children. Okay, and nothing wrong with that when I do it. It's the gays and the trans that are grooming. Okay,
the Almighty God.
And that'll get rid of this indoctrination.
Absolutely, sir. But you see, that's the reason we started public schools. The reason public schools was started, you can go read the 2 reasons. Because at one time...
Bringing the kids to church is not a bad thing, though, right? I don't give a shit about bringing children to church overall, okay? I don't care. But it is... Let's be honest. For the most part, kids don't like it. They get bored. And it actually, unironically, does the exact opposite thing that you think it'll do, which is indoctrinate them into firmly holding on to religious beliefs. In this day and age, it don't matter. There is an element of community that's good, but you can get that elsewhere. Unfortunately, in the United States of America, you can't really do that. Anywhere else, there's no sense of community anywhere else other than the church. No, it's terrible actually. Going to church made me atheist. Man, if church attendance was that much of a banger, you would not have church participation go down year over year. You understand that? No matter what happens, the more science continues to unmask some of the mysteries of the world, the less interest people have in filling the gaps with something that offers them context that makes them feel safe. That is part of the reason why these guys also spend a incredible amount of time literally trying to abolish the Department of Education and only allow religious indoctrination to occur rather than regular fucking scientific learning, okay? There is a very nefarious and fairly straightforward reason as to why they don't want you to fucking learn about things like evolution, for example. Pre-they, them military footage. And then... What do you mean? These are just a bunch of red-hot-blooded Americans that they look like they were straight ripped out of Central Casting with them sexy-ass uniforms they're wearing. Bitch, they'd look just as good if they took them uniforms off, too. You know, get a little comfortable, pecs glistening in the sun as they stand on top of that cruiser. Thinking about sweat beads dropping down from their nipples. Nothing gay about that. Yeah, you can't get any more macho.
All schools in America were religious, even our colleges, universities, Harvard, they were all religious. Public schools were started to break the stronghold of Christian doctrine over our children. Everyone in our church is homeschooled.
Okay. Wow.
We took back over our children. We took them away from the government schools.
And that's a good way to get rid of the indoctrination.
That's the only way that I know of. What other way is there?
What are some ways to stop this indoctrination?
I am for homeschooling now. I was not a big advocate for homeschooling.
Homeschooling to stop this indoctrination.
Stop the indoctrination, and I'm not even sure we should be sending them to college. I think we could go to technical schools, make sure that they go to conservative colleges, like where is the one?
Liberty, Baylor.
There's another one, Heritage, I think. Teach the Constitution, teach about our founding fathers, teach real history, and instead of this indoctrination and putting our students in debt. I mean, they're in debt. They could buy a home with the money that they get out of school with debt, and even if they get really good jobs, their debt to income earned will not let them buy a house.
So you're saying that we should make college free for all, or lower the cost of college?
I don't know what the answer is. I used to think it was, I love this lottery idea that the people going to school that made good grades, but now that I'm seeing that happen, these universities are raising the cost of astronomically for these kids to go, and then these professors are paid all this money, and then it just rolls upon itself. Then the government only hires like the lawyers and things like that out of these schools, and they're indoctrinated at this point.
I've been hearing parents talking about not bringing their kids to church until they're 13 or 16 and they're old enough to make a proper decision.
No, that's not, I don't believe in that. No, that
sounds like something like the mask mandates.
That's so funny. Nope. Church is good. Again, all of this makes sense if your moral system that you've designed is it's okay when I do it, it's totally fucked up, and the worse evil when they do it, which is a principle that you can apply to every single concept that Republicans engage with. Okay? Every single concept is like, no, it's fine. It's of course fine. We need to do church indoctrination. We can't do school indoctrination. It's okay when we vote. It's okay when we lie, steal, and cheat. It's not okay when the other side even goes out and votes, like actually votes. All of their votes are fraudulent and fake and gay. All of our votes are the real ones, and they're somehow still being suppressed. I love the talking point that professors make a lot of money. I stopped grad school after my master's because I saw how little my professors made. Yeah, no, professors, they're fucking raking the big bucks.
Separate us. Make us suspicious of each other.
For the record, what's an appropriate age to bring your kid to church?
Well, parents have to be involved with their church education as well as their school education.
The national education needs to be disbanded. That's unconstitutional. We need to go to the states running their own education. But I think that should be mandatory.
Are you talking about like school choice, or are you talking about?
Well, we definitely need school choice, but I just don't think that we need a national education. We need to go to the states, need to decide what they do in their states regarding their education.
Let the states decide.
Let the states decide. The federal government cannot.
Hey, let me tell you, if they're cheating on elections like you believe they are and they're stealing, do you really want the blue government of the wonderful state of Georgia to decide what happens to your children's education? once again, you're saying these things and not really fully thinking about it, because we are in Georgia, a state where the libtards stole the vote, which, by the way, of course, states also decide what to do with elections to a certain degree. That dude is Shane Vaughn, a crazy Trump pastor that thinks Trump is a messiah. That's awesome.
Tell some little small community. And
But, like, of course you need centralization. The entire principle behind education in general, specifically public education, which is supposed to be the norm with no other private alternatives if we lived in a normal structure, is creating social cohesion. I know that a lot of Americans are hot-blooded and exclusively think on the boundaries of being a critical thinker and an individual, hyper-individualist, like big brain smart guy. But the reality is that that's what the education is there for. Education and military creates social cohesion. You need that, okay? You need that if you want to coexist. It's just like a fundamental role that a centralized force is supposed to play, is ensure that that social cohesion is also giving you adequate resources, information necessary for you to have a productive labor force. It is a complete necessity, like a Department of Education is a complete necessity across the board. One thing that I will always ask people whenever they say, oh man, the Department of Education, America is spending so much money on the Department of Education, like where's that money going? And how the Department of Education must be abolished. We need to privatize this structure. All these Republicans that unconditionally fucking push this narrative. To them I ask, what developed or developing nation has this level of privatization in their K through 12 education? Every single fucking nation that absolutely rips the United States of America to shreds with educational outcomes, whether it be literacy, math, any kind of educational outcome. And there are ways to, there are metrics of success in education that can get as universalized as possible. Every single fucking nation, with the exception of the United States of America, has robust public education structures designed. Some nations have tried to privatize it, like Sweden, okay? Immediately saw diminishing returns, immediately saw that the outcomes were not positive, and went back to the public structure very quickly. It's so fucking dumb. Americans are so ruthlessly blind to the existence of other countries, even ones that we talk about all the fucking time. It's like China's lapping us, China's doing this, and it's like, yeah, okay. You know what else China's doing? Banning private education, specifically so that there is no two-tier structure. Now, are they doing this out of the kindness of their hearts? I'm not that big of a fucking Xi Jinping dick rider. No, they're doing this because they understand that public education, whether it be Confucianism or thousands of years of value placed upon the importance of education and like arriving at some semblance of a meritocratic approach, they know how important that shit is to have as many people as possible get educated as best as possible, yields positive outcomes for the country. It's so fucking stupid. The worst part about this, of course, is that this is a bipartisan issue. A lot of these people don't realize that Democrats are also looking to gut public institutions and specifically education. Democrats since the 90s have been pushing for charter schools, which is their version of gutting the Department of Education by taking those funds from the Department of Education and reappropriating them to the other version of school choice, unaccountable, unrecognized charter schools that can just shut down in the middle of an middle of a semester with no legal recourse whatsoever.
Best for their students there.
What do we do about this indoctrination?
That's another problem. I think over the last several decades, our schools have been infiltrated by communists.
And they're doing this despite the private tutors and edtech in China. They know they are not able to provide good public education to everyone, but they're still banning private players just to level the playing field in the society. I think another part of the they don't want. They do not want anybody to benefit from a structure that is unequal. And for the record, their education structure overall is still properly funded. I don't think that it's fair to say that the Chinese education system is bad in rural areas. Like, I don't think that's true. I don't fully agree with you on that. If you were to say medicine, I agree with you. Okay? There are certain things that China suffers on, and providing hospitals in rural areas in the same way that, like, you can have access to healthcare in a city, in a big city, is it's not the same still. That is one of the few areas where even development has not been able to impact, has not had that similar impact that it has in every other aspect. Chinese education beats the shit out of the American system? Absolutely. It is. Rural areas in China are still very impoverished, even with the end of absolute poverty. Guys, it takes time. That's my perspective on this. It takes time. At least they're moving in the right direction, whereas America has consistently moved in that exact same time frame in the worst direction. Does that make sense? Is China's public education really better than the U.S.? Abso-fucking-lutely. It's not even a thing. That's not even in question. Yes. It's not even close. Yes. Brother, I grew up in Turkey, a country that is nowhere near as wealthy as America is. A country that was, by many metrics, a stable yet maybe, according to some metrics, a developing nation. Okay? It's developed in certain areas, and then there are certain areas that are underdeveloped. A country that was very fucking corrupt. And even then, there was at least public education readily available for every single fucking student. Okay? Every single student. In the United States of America, our educational outcomes are fucking awful. Measuring poverty in rural areas is also hard, considering they don't usually pay for rent or much for food, which are the biggest expenses in an urban household. It's hard to measure rural poverty just from income. You can make that argument about America as well to a certain degree. But it's just like, it doesn't fucking make sense. I'm from Camagüey, Cuba. Fam in the middle of nowhere has their clinics in small hospitals. They still need to go to the bigger hospitals in the cities for maternity and operations. Government provides transport, or there are ambulance services where no big hospital is closed. America, since 2010 or so, has been on a consistent decline, and America's going absolute shit. I honestly hope America falls to dog shit so I can finally leave the shithole. First of all, it's not been on a consistent decline since 2010. It's been on a consistent decline since the Reagan era. You just never really saw the worst aspects of it until recently, because the original boom that it yielded for American industry, or our GDP, was able to hide the worst aspects of it. America's been on decline for a very long time, much even fucking longer than the 80s, if we're being honest. The education system exists for one purpose: to keep you just competent enough to wage slave. Education system across the board exists for that purpose. The point is, are you going to teach people adequately? Is there going to be enough funds? Or is there not going to be enough funds? And in the United States of America, we genuinely move in the other direction in comparison to other countries that are like, no, of course we want to make sure that our fucking children are like at least smart, you know? And it shows. It actually fucking shows in our outcomes, in our educational outcomes, when you compare it to other countries. Biraz çok evet. Onu bir nokta yaparsan daha iyi. Ya da 1.5 yap. 1.5. Look up Pincher, Oklahoma. People stayed there until they were literally dead from natural disasters, claiming there was nothing wrong with their town. People are stubborn to death here.
Homeschooling is an option, or private schools. I see a lot of states passing reforms to the education with school choice. Public school system is corrupt.
Yeah, I mean, guys, what are we doing here? Look at this. It's official. Ryan Walters, the superintendent in Oklahoma State, has announced that the state has partnered with PragerU. PragerU is a nonprofit that creates content promoting conservative viewpoints of various political, economic, and sociological topics. Please tell me more about how the American school system is normal. This is right after Florida, okay? How fucking insane is that? Can you imagine? Like, we love talking about, like, TikTok is melting people's brains or whatever. But I have said this time and time again, and I will repeat myself. This is a Noam Chomsky certified banger, okay? The greatest terrorist, the greatest threat to American hegemonic power, or the greatest threat to America in general, American futures, has always been the Republican Party, okay? Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein, or whoever the fuck you want to point to, could never imagine the death and destruction that American Republicans cause to the rest of the planet, but even to themselves, okay? This is so psychotic. It is so psychotic. Democrats on the State Board of Education are pledging to fight efforts to introduce PragerU in Texas. PragerU is borderline propaganda. It's not propaganda. Borderline propaganda. It is propaganda. They openly state that it's propaganda. The greatest threat isn't GOP, it's neoliberalism. Come on. Who does neoliberalism better than the GOP? What are we talking about? Democrats? Both Democrats and the Republicans are neoliberals. They're both neoliberals, but who is the greatest neoliberal in the United States history? Who's the greatest neoliberal in the United States history? It's Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan is the guy who made neoliberalism a permanent fixture in American politics. What are we talking about?
It's run by powerful unions that fund the Democrat Party. Those aren't people that should be educating our children.
Homeschooling, it's a good way to stop the indoctrination. Yeah.
It's about that and if you can find a good private school.
I'm hearing a lot of parents talking about how they're not going to bring their kid to church until the child is like 13 or 16. They want the kid to be old enough to make a proper decision.
About going to church?
About going to church.
I think that's something you can pass down from parents to children, if you're a Christian.
As a Christian, what's an appropriate age to bring your child to church and have them read the Bible?
As soon as they're born. They can't read when they're born, but a lot of baptisms happen at a very young age.
What do we do about this indoctrination?
I think you have to get rid of the Department of Education. We need to get the people that are indoctrinating our kids out of school.
Who are those people?
Teachers. Change what they teach to where it's not something that's crazy biased for the left. We need to teach history. We need to teach the facts, not an opinion. You teach the history, don't teach.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree. Also, bro, you're in that age range of being educated. You have already been indoctrinated through our schooling system, unless he was homeschooled or some shit. And you came out to be this fucking little groiped up shouty. So what the fuck are we talking about? Shouldn't he be in school right now? I don't understand. My man's like, our kids? Bro, what do you mean? You are the kid. You are the fucking kid. What the fuck are you talking about? Our kids.
Victimhood.
You're local?
Yeah, I just moved to Georgia. Yeah,
Very
like 2
cool.
months ago.
Oh wow, where'd you move from?
I lived in Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to leave because of Ron DeSantis. Kind of messed up the state a little bit.
Ron DeSantis messed up the state. How did he mess up the state?
Man, just everything got so expensive. Inflation went through the roof. Like it's $4,000 for a 1-bedroom. It's kind of wild, you know. So I moved there when COVID hit. I grew up in LA, and then COVID hit. I moved to Florida. It was great, you know, during COVID for the first year or two, and then ever since he won re-election in 2022 in the midterms, he kind of just stepped aside from being governor and did like a shadow campaign.
My problem is that he knew he wasn't going to be around. He knew he was running for president when he ran for his second term.
Yeah.
He knew he wasn't going to be around to govern the state.
God, that shirt goes so fucking hard. I'm sorry. That shirt goes so goddamn hard, dude. It's sick. Is this dude a MAGA communist? No, man, he's not.
State of Florida.
I agree. And honestly, they asked him on the debate stage if he was running, and he wouldn't answer.
So yeah,
Bro, anytime you see someone, I mean, if he was that big of a groyper, he'd be pro DeSantis for the record. A lot of groypers love
not a fan of
DeSantis.
DeSantis.
No.
Yeah, he has establishment ties.
Oh,
Very
hugely
much.
establishment ties. I mean, you can
God,
even
I gotta
see
pee
over
again.
the time, you know,
Fuck.
he went from actually not supporting Trump to wanting Trump's endorsement really bad and getting able to win. And over this whole time, you kind of realize he
wouldn't
hasn't
have won.
really
He wouldn't
had-
have won election.
Exactly, and this whole time you kind of realize, and a lot of us, because we were kind of, you know, we still didn't really see all that was happening, right? Up until 2020, that's when a lot of people's eyes started to open. But you kind of realize from that time, 2018 up until then, he really hasn't had Trump's back.
Rhino.
Rhino.
Would you vote for him for governor again?
I would never, ever support him. I supported him during midterms, supported him during his first thing. I had him on the side of my trailer, had it blown up, Make America Florida, and then he switched on Donald Trump.
I'm working on an app. This is an app to where if a white person says, "Oh, I have a black friend," if you're the black friend, you immediately get a note and an update.
Okay.
And it says like, "All right, well, this black friend is, this person just named you as a black friend," and their debate gives you their location. You can just show up and be like, "Listen, this is my coworker from a few years ago. We really haven't spoken since. We follow each other on Facebook."
Right.
But yeah.
I like it. I like it.
Thank
Where
you.
was it in the development?
It's in the early.
Okay, no, I
the
like
angel and beta testing.
Okay, no, I would be. Put me down as.
They have to you have to register your black friends as
Okay.
a white person.
Okay. I have a few whose name I would want to register.
Yeah. Oh no, fantastic. Thank you.